A day in the life as a schoolboy in the village of Yorkshire, a small mining village. 6 o'clock, my grandmother woke me up. She was all spick and span and had my breakfast all ready. She'd really prepared it as well for my father, who was due in from night shift roughly about the same time. After breakfast, I then had the pig swill given to me in a bucket to take down to the allotments and feed the pigs. My father kept 2 hogs in his pigsty, and I kept pigeons in my pigeon sty. My pigeons really consisted of about half a dozen of one variety, 6 of another, and 1 fantail, which was my favourite. It was a white fantail, and it could beat anything over a short distance. After feeding the pigs and letting the pigeons out and collecting them back again, putting them back in the cages, then I went back home. Not every day, but some days when I got back, my grandmother would be waiting for me to blacklead and clean the stove. In those days everyone had black stoves, and these needed blackleading and shining, and that was my job, but not daily. Then I would have to use pumice stone and clean the steps and repump them, either cream or white. Then I was given permission to go to school. On the Monday she would give me 2pence halfpenny. This was to buy 5 bottles of milk, 1 per day. This, I'm afraid, I spent on sweets on my way home to school. Now, I didn't tell anyone this, but I was a sweet addict. I was a sweet addict, really. Well, one of the evenings I used to buy 1 block of Bourneville cocoa and eat that. And when it was time to dish the milk out, if I was a milk monitor, each child was given a bottle of milk and 1 ginger biscuit. I'm afraid when I was the monitor, a lot of children didn't get the ginger biscuits. For some unknown reason, they seemed to get lost on the way. Well, when I arrived back home, my father by this time had got out of bed again, and sometimes he'd be writing betting slips. He was a bit of a gambler, really. He used to like threatening bets. To find a winner sometimes he would back every horse in the race, 3pence each horse. And then he would have threatening doubles, threatening trebles or accumulators. Now I cottoned on to this, and I couldn't see him ever winning, so when he gave me the bets to place with the bookies runner, I used to stand the bets, trusting that he wouldn't win, which he never did, and it's a good job really, because I hadn't got the money to give him. Now my father did convert the front room into a little shop, fruit and veg and sweets, which I loved. I mean the sweets, not the fruit and veg, which I used to take handful really and go out with my mates on the evening. This may seem funny in working nights like this and having a sweet shop, but people don't realise that sometimes the mines only used to work 3 days a week, the miners. They'd never worked a full week, hardly ever. And so it was anything to make the wages up. I used to love it, really, going out with the friends and lads in a gang and either creating mischief or challenging the other gangs to football or cricket, whichever was season, really. I consider I had a wonderful childhood, and at school we had a very, very good school. We had a different teacher for every subject: metalwork, woodwork, French, English, and it was great. I was often in trouble with, mind you. Sometimes the metalwork teacher would throw the nearest thing that came to his hand at me, which I always managed to dodge. The French teacher used to make me sit at the front because he caught me reading another book inside his French book, and so I was in trouble with him. Actually, his name was Mr. Dove, and he played rugby for Hull City, but he was very, very good teacher. I wasn't good at school, really. The only thing I really excelled in was sport, but apart from that, I was a dead loss. So I was very glad in July 1937 when the day came for me to leave school. I then walked out of that school, smoking a cigarette, all bravado, ready to go and find a job, which I did, and that was down the mines on the Monday, starting at Alton Main Colliery.